Hello everybody. Today I'm going to put these panties in my mouth.
David Lynch got a reputation as the weird fella that makes strange films that kinda don't make sense. Well, that's if you don't pay attention to the detail. Gaining some recognition early on with his first feature-length film Eraserhead and then the Oscar-nominated Elephant Man, Lynch often made the plots of his films come second to the atmosphere and emotional feelings behind them. A lot of people mistake this for, there's no story, only stupid visuals that don't make sense. This was extremely obvious when it came to his 1992 film Twin Peaks: Fire Walk With Me. You see, Lynch was quite the critical darling in the 80s. It seemed that everything he did was lapped up by the critics, no matter how strange it was. Apart from Doom, of course, but even Lynch will tell you that that film was not the film he wanted to make, as the studio forced him to make a lot of changes to it. So it was pretty smooth sailing for Lynch, apart from the odd, "this doesn't make sense" type review here and there. Until Lynch decided to make a film which acted both as the pro and epilogue to his hit TV series Twin Peaks. When this film came out, it wasn't just the odd critic saying, "this doesn't make sense," it was all of them. Save for Mark Kermode, of course. Well, let's be honest, lads. He either wants to be Lynch, or at the very least be inside of him.
Am I right in thinking that that's at least in the right area?
No.
But yeah, the film did not fare well with critics, and bombed at the box office. Some critics even went as far to call it the worst movie ever. Okay, here's why they're wrong. Twin Peaks is a series created in the early 90s with the co-op of David Lynch and then relatively unknown writer Mark Frost. It was centered around the murder of a popular teenager named Laura Palmer and the effects said murder had on the community of Twin Peaks. It was quirky, engaging and unique. At the time there was nothing else like it, and still I reckon there's nothing else like it. What I really loved about the series was that it used quite a typical and uninteresting plot to begin with, and then turned that into something really special, unique and genius. It's a murder mystery, an extremely common storyline for a soap opera or a thriller at the time, but it's where the series takes that simple storyline that shows the show's true genius. The show starts off shot, acted, edited and even scored very much like a typical soap opera. When I watched it for the first time I was like, wait, this is Lynch? It was way too normal to be Lynch. But if you stick with the show, quickly it takes all those archetypes and flips them on their head. At first I didn't understand the soap opera aesthetic of the series. I actually found it a bit unappealing. But once I understood the theme of duality that runs throughout the series, I began to see the genius in it. The characters in the show all have a secret side to them. The town itself has a dark side to it under the surface, much like David Lynch's 1986 film Blue Velvet. The structure of the show and the way the show is displayed mirrors the theme of duality beautifully. And it's an understanding of the theme of duality that is vital to getting Fire Walk With Me. I think a lot of the critics of the time either had not watched the series or found the drastic change in tone compared to the series quite jarring. And it is very jarring. The show can often be light-hearted and charming, especially in its early episodes, while the film, for the most part, is dark, confusing and even sometimes ugly. But that's all intentional. The series began with a quite optimistic Dale Cooper coming into what seemed like a nice quiet town. The majority of the pilot episode consisted of Cooper going to different places around the town and complimenting them on how lovely the town was. We see the town in a very optimistic light in this version. We are seeing the town from Cooper's view as an outsider. The film, in contrast, puts us in the shoes of Laura Palmer, an insider, a prisoner of the dark side of Twin Peaks. And the jarring tone is all a part of getting the theme of duality across. Even when we see Cooper in the film, he's a lot different. He looks like a man who's afraid. In the first scene we see Cooper, he talks about a nightmare he had, and then we soon see that nightmare come true. And fear is one of the best things going for this film. We know about the abuse Laura had to suffer through because the series told us, but this film shows us. And those scenes leading up to said abuse are some of the most uncomfortably tense moments I've ever seen on film. Any film which can make you feel what the character is feeling is really special to me, and I think this is overlooked in blockbusters nowadays. I go to the movies, a good bit, see big movies. I saw Star Wars. Star Wars is a perfect example of everyone went mad for a movie. and I really wasn't into it. And that's cause any feeling I had for those characters, it felt really artificial. It felt really, really fake. And Twin Peaks has this sincerity to it. When you see those scenes with Laura in bed waiting for Bob, it's terrifying. It's really intense. You feel the dread that she's feeling. And that alone, to me, gives this movie value. Is this film confusing? Yes, very much so. Even the most hardcore Lynch fan will find this one a tough code to crack. And I think that's what ultimately led to the bad reviews. Often Lynch movies are either slightly easier to analyse than this one, or more visually stimulating. This one has a dangerous balance of being quite difficult to follow, while also not having as many iconic or striking visuals as his other works. Don't get me wrong, I love the visuals in this film, but in most of Lynch's other films, most of the keys to unlocking the film's meaning are hidden in the visuals. And while there are definitely keys in the visuals of this film, unfortunately they're kind of lodged between the cushions of a metaphorical sofa, where honestly it just becomes a bit of a nuisance to even find them. I say this because I initially wasn't really into the movie, but it was after rewatching it and reanalyzing it that it slowly became one of my favourite films by Lynch. And I think the current online response reflects this. The series has gotten a big spike in popularity again thanks to the announcement of the long-awaited third season, and many people are giving this film a second shot, or watching it for the first time. And it seems now, thanks to sources we have on the internet, we can get a better understanding of this masterpiece and appreciate it for what it is. A film about duality, dread, and damn fine coffee.